Okay, back again, and I've got to stop saying that. I really, really do. So here we are today, looking at another one of these egg things. So terrible, terrible introduction, but that's okay. Where's the last one gone? The last one's disappeared somewhere. No, they seriously have. Long gone. Well, anyway, it was a space theme thing, and it's still all big on. Oh, here it is. Most of it. We're still big on 50th anniversary of landing on the moon, even though by the time this video comes out, it'll be a bit late. But nobody's watching these videos anyhow, so it doesn't actually matter. But we'll pretend that someday in the future people will. So we're going to do another space thing, and this is a space rocket. So I don't know if it's a Saturn V or something. It just says rocket on the side. It looks very, very simple in the picture, but it's jammed packed full of pieces. So it should be kind of exciting. What's the best thing for opening a packet like this? So I've got to try and find the best spot. There is no little bit to just rip it off. Like there's no little indentation or perforation anywhere. Perforation. Why can I not say the word perforation? Now I'm like not entirely sure that I'm saying the right word at all, and it sounds like I'm being very violent here. I'm a bit happier at the moment because my cat seems to be have got better, and I was afraid she was getting a bit sick recently, but she seems to be back on track. So that's nice. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get to the rocket. She's not going on a rocket anytime soon, and neither am I. Oh my goodness, there's a little... This wasn't on the last one. There's another bit of tape around the middle. Well, I'm just going to use my strength, and it's not working. Okay. Well, look, I did make a mark on... I have actually slightly stressed the plastic tape bit. Oh, come on, please. Oh, there we go. There we go. So there's a reasonable number of pieces. But where's the other ones? So there's my other eggs. So I'll have the other eggs sitting around the outside. I've got quite a collection now. 3, and I've got one more of these things. So we'll have 4 in the end. And I suspect I'm just going to buy the whole lot. I think there's only two or so more left to get, but they might not be on special anymore. They were on a cheap price. I feel like again this is one of those ones where it's just like draw the just copy the final picture. But the first instruction, which is hard to see I think, is looking to be nice, like as it's literally only a few things to do. Except I don't see the other black one. Did I just lose it? Oh, there it is. Hidden away. You wouldn't have thought that would be the case. I think it goes there. Again, I just have to look at the following pictures. And I'm a little bit unsure how this step is going to work. So I think these are meant to be what's the word? A representation of the thrusterizer thing at the bottom in full firation. I don't know the words for these things. Maybe I do know the words for these things, and afterwards, because afterwards I'll be like, oh, obviously it's this word. Because I do that often when I do these videos. When I watch them again, I'm like, well, that was really, really dumb of me to say that when I was doing the video. How can I not have thought of the thing that I was supposed to be thinking of? But it's very hard. You're like on the spot. And the bright lights are out there. The people are watching, and they're expecting you to say the right thing, even if they don't actually exist. But it's still suspenseful. So there you go. I was going to make a joke actually about, you know how you're supposed to imagine people in their underpants to help you. I don't know. It's a really dumb advice. Like I've never ever tried it, but I can't imagine that if you're in a situation. This is like this is like seriously the silliest and simplest thing to build. Like it's just these things going up like this. So I'm just going to go off in tangents in my conversation because there's not that much point talking about the actual build here. So the pieces kind of stick together. what was I talking about? Yes, I joke about how you're supposed to imagine people in their underpants when you're giving speeches and so on. And then because there's no actual audience here, they're all imaginary. I was going to make some other joke about that, but I can't really think of what the joke would be now. It's completely gone from my head, so we're not going to bother. But then I was going to like slide on into an interesting thing that I had today, a conversation. I made a joke, one of my favoritist jokes, and I think it's a really interesting joke because I think it sort of shows your intellectual development. As you get older, you may find this joke funny, but when you're young, the joke will make no sense. It's what I find. And interestingly today, a 10-year-old kid that I said the joke to did in fact seem to find it quite funny, which I thought was interesting because a lot of the 10-year-old kids that I've mentioned this joke to don't seem to understand why it should be funny. And the joke is, what is red and invisible? And the answer is no tomatoes. The way I've just said it now, it probably won't be funny, but I've always thought it was an hilariously funny joke. So 4 goes here, right? But it's this kind of abstract thought joke that won't make any sense if you don't have, if you haven't quite got your abstract thought going, because how can it make any sense? What do you mean no tomatoes? What? How can that be red and invisible? Maybe if I say it enough times, red and invisible, and it's no tomatoes. It's no tomatoes. It's a sort of very surreal joke. But it's funny, and so I just thought it was interesting that... and of course, a common story that I have told people over the years is that once upon a time, I share a name with a relatively famous person, and when they first became famous, people would look that person up on the internet. But at that time, because it was quite a while ago, the internet was not full of that many things, and if you looked up this person's name, the first web page you would have found would be my web page, because that was my web page, and it was like, well, there you go. That was kind of cool. And when I first started off, it's like, well, I have a web page, and you type it into Google, and you find me. I'm number one on the thing. But as soon as this person was in a movie, people started thinking, oh, this person's interesting. I want to find out more about them. So they would look up things, and they would find my web page, which quite clearly even stated after a while that I was not the person that they were looking for. But then I would continue to get those things anyhow. But so I was getting so much of this fan mail that I thought from a very particular group of a very particular demographic, and I would always write back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not the person that you think I am. And sometimes they'd write back and they would say, but do you have a cool accent and things like this? It's like, what has that got to do with anything? The answer is, of course, no. And then one day I was just like, I don't really care. I'll just pretend that I'm this person. Well, I'm not going to pretend. I'm just not going to deny it. And I wrote back and I left at the bottom that joke about the no tomatoes. So I said, no tomatoes. What's red and invisible with no tomatoes? And that was the last I ever heard of that. Except for 2 years later, I got another email from that person. And I'd completely forgotten about this. And I had completely forgotten that I had actually pretended. So I've done something. I've put the red one on the top. I hope another red one goes there, because I've jumped ahead a bit on the instructions, which you might not be able to see. So what's on the next page? Please be red. No, it's not. Oh, rotten. So I have to get that thing off. But I've got my little brick separator right here. But anyway, yeah, they wrote back 2 years later, and I completely forgotten about this, and I was very confused about this entire email that they sent me. It was basically, I was basically that they'd asked all their family and friends, lots of people, and nobody got the joke, right? Nobody understood. This person who wrote to me did not get the joke, and their family didn't get the joke, and it was just one of those groups of people that just don't get that kind of joke. And it was like, what? You've been thinking about this for 2 years? And that's when because I'd actually forgotten that this person, I hadn't actually told them that I wasn't the famous actor person that they thought I was. And so they'd been dwelling for 2 years on that joke, and still not getting it. And thinking that I was in fact somebody else. And so that was a strange moment in my life. But that's one of the reasons why I quite like that joke. It's a funny joke. But that's a true story. Right, and if you're that person, I'm so sorry. You'll be quite old now, or you'll be a bit older than you were before. You'll well be an adult. So I've just given away that the person who emailed me was not an adult, and the actor themselves was appealing to a demographic who were not quite adults, which is why it was quite funny. But I was very sensible about these things, and as I told you, but I did say to one person, here's a dumb joke that they didn't get. So that's the end of this, and I'm a bit confused because there's a lot of these pieces, but no, I'm not confused because there's the thing at the bottom. What's the picture on the packet gone? Well, I've gone and lost a piece of plastic, so I don't know where did this thing come from? What does this thing mean? Oh, I know what this is for. It's a little tower that goes on the side. Right, so these just go in there. These feel, I don't know if I've ever put this kind of window in a actual Lego one. Like, this feels like a different kind of style way of building these particular things. But having said that, like, I can't actually think how these little windows, you get these in trains, don't you? So, I mean, I have one train set, so I must have these windows somewhere. Maybe that's how they go. Please leave a comment in the comment section. Nowhere else. Don't leave comments anywhere else. Telling me if you actually think this relates in any way to how Lego pieces really work. They're a bit jangly. Like, I can still hear that moving around, and I'm pretty sure I've pushed it all the way in. But there you go. So that one's going in. That one's nice. So we've built 3 of these, just like the instructions has said. It said X3. And then we have to attach this thing, which is pre-made. What's up with that? Like, they don't pre-make anything out. Not quite pre-made. It's almost pre-made. It was pre-half done, so that was nice. Poor effort. I can't use another because I'm trying to avoid bad language, but there's another word that I would normally use to describe that situation. Not a particularly rude word or anything. It's just that perhaps I don't want to say it. There we go. Oh, what's this piece? This piece is a strange piece. So this is a different piece. It feels like this piece here is like a square on both sides. It's very squarish for a Lego piece. It feels like an old school slider knob thing on like a television. If you're old enough to use a TV that had a knob that slid backwards and forwards, they sometimes had little black knobs like this, and it feels like that's what this reminds me of. It doesn't remind me of Lego at all. So I think I've got this correct, looking at this picture, which you cannot. So I'm going to bring it up close, get a good look. You must remember this for the test tomorrow. It goes like, I'm assuming that one goes there. And then there's another piece. So I really should follow the instructions. Alright, okay. I think it goes that way. Okay, I'm going to take this for a second and look at it with my eyeballs. Okay. And then that one, well, it's too late now. It goes on like, I can't possibly go on like that. Oh, okay, right. It goes, what did I do? Did I actually attach a piece? No, I didn't. Okay. That goes there. And then that must somehow go there. I've got the funny feeling that I've got this the wrong way around. And then these bits go on the side. Oh, it's got, ooh, that feels a little clunky. In general, it's okay. It doesn't snap together quite as styly as Lego would. So that's that. And then in theory, well, I guess that's how it should bend, because it's going to bend backwards like that, and then it's going to bend up and down, or it's going to go down. So that should be right. Okay, let's just put this together. It doesn't actually tell you the part where you put them together. Vice it does. It's right there. Picture number 6. I wasn't paying attention. So it should go on here like this, and look at that, and it goes up, and then we're pulling it back down. Oh, I just heard the word. What do they call these things? Not cradles. It was a kind of weird but cool way of referring to it. The tower that goes around the outside of these rocket things. But I've forgotten the word. But that's okay. But there we go, that's finished, and that was actually a lot more work than I was anticipating. That's what you think from when you look at the picture on the front, but it is quite tall. It's certainly much taller than the moon buggy thing, and we can finish it off by comparing different brands of fake Lego. So this is fake Lego from this brand with the square heads, where the head falls off. It's kind of terrifying. And then there's this one here where the head is stuck in there forever, and it seems to be a common theme. Right, there we go. They have quite different legs actually. They're not. I don't know which one I would say is more rubbishier. This one or this one? Probably this one. This has some more quality in it, but the legs are a little bit wonky. But yeah, so that's just in case you wanted to know, just in case you were comparing one of the myriad of brands of fake copy Lego. I think that guy goes in this car. He's this guy in the car, doesn't he? Where did I put my? We've also got. We're not going to call him. We are going to call him Thor. He's not Hawkeye. He's Thor. That's right. I was going to call him Thor and then go, wait, this guy's Hawkeye. You can't. Look, he's got black hair. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so that's another brand of fake Lego. This one actually wins out. I'm going to tell you the truth. This one feels surprisingly closer to being actual Lego than either of these two do. I mean, this follows the style of Lego, and these ones don't. But the plastic feel is actually better. So there you go. Enough of this. Enough. We've got one more of these though. One more, and then we're going to have a really cool. Before I go back to that Technic thing, I've got a set that I'm going to bring out that is really cool, and it's going to be quite a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and comment, like, share, subscribe. It's still the camera's doing the flickering thing. I've got to work out which light makes it flicker. I probably should just turn this one off. Like, that light's fine, isn't it? It's fine. It's fine. It's got this little like darker area over here and the lighter area over here. Or maybe I should just point this up. I think that's what I used to do. And that did not help much at all. Okay, that makes it flicker. That makes it not flicker. So I normally point it straight down into the table, and that seems to work. What kind of light bulb have I got? I've got that one. It's called an incandescent. Well, that one's fine. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. It's not flickering. It's not flickering. Alright, bye!